What's going on, America? This is Kev from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And I just want to make sure that everybody leading up to November 5th are able to make good choices when it comes down to Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. And in order to do that, if you are in the middle or if you are even on the left, you have to know what you are voting for, because you're not going to get the true Kamala chameleon Harris if you're just watching liberal networks. See, so I'm here to bring you the alternative clips and information to the left-wing liberal media that's trying to paint her as a beauty queen somewhere riding around on a float. So I put together about maybe 29 minutes or so of clips that will make you more informed when it comes down to Kamala Harris. Now, after watching these clips, if you still feel you need to vote for her, you get what you deserve. So now, one of the big controversies surrounding Kamala Harris is she qualified? I mean, did they pick her because she's DEI? Because DEI is supposed to be a good thing. The left-wing media and the Democrats have said, no, she wasn't picked because, she's a black woman or she's not a DEI pick or any of that stuff. So let's go ahead and disperse or deal with that rumor up front.
Values of diversity, equality, inclusion are literally, and that's not kidding, the core strengths of America. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It taps into the full talents of our country and starts at the top with the vice president.
Well, now you heard it from the cat's mouth right there. You heard it from creepy, sleepy, sleazy, slimy, sloppy's mouth right there that he picked her because she was a black woman. Now we can move forward. So enjoy these clips.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
I am running for president of the United States.
Well,
and I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about it.
If you win,
yes,
you're going to be commander-in-chief.
Yes.
What qualifies you to be commander-in-chief?
Well, first of all, let me just say I love my country. I love my country.
Why are you the best, capable, the strongest Democrat to defeat Donald Trump?
Well, Andrea, let's start with this. I love my country. I love my country. I'm running for president because I love my country. I love my country. I love my country. I love my country.
And Jimmy Two Times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like...
I'm gonna go get the papers,
It's real. It's real. And I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about it. We love our country. We love our country. To our collective peril. To our collective peril. Because we're not going back. We're not going back.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like in
And
college,
I inhale. I did inhale. Let's speak truth. Climate change is real. Climate change is presenting an existential threat. Climate change, it's real. Well, first of all, I don't even call it climate change. It's a climate crisis. It represents an existential threat to us as a species.
1 minute later.
Climate change represents an existential threat. We need to have Medicare for all.
And correct me if I'm wrong, to reiterate, you support the Medicare for All bill, I think initially co-sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders. You're also a co-sponsor on it. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance.
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
Because 150 million Americans are covered by private insurance. What happens to those 150 million Americans under President Harris?
Well, it's the same as the millions of Americans every day that transition into Medicare as seniors. It's seamless, without any difference to their coverage in terms of access to health care.
Senator Harris, you started out co-sponsoring Senator Sanders' bill. You now say you're uncomfortable with it. Why?
I support Medicare for all, I always have, but I wanted to make the plan better, which I did, which is about offering people choice, not taking that from them. People have the choice of a private plan or a public plan because that's what people want. Congress has had years to act and failed because they do not have the courage. When I'm elected, I'll give them 100 days to pull their act together, put a bill on my desk for signature, and if they don't, I will take executive action and put in place a comprehensive background check requirement and ban the importation of assault weapons into our country because it is time to act.
Your policy that you released today, the drug policy, what I found quite intriguing about it is that in proposal after proposal, from your gun policy to your drug policy, you've said that you will lean on executive action if Congress fails to act. You're a sitting member of Congress. What does this say about your belief in the authority of Congress?
But Congress has the authority. The question is there the will? The question is there the courage?
Some things you can, many things you can't.
Let's let the senator answer.
Well, I mean, I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can. So here's the deal, guys. My campaign for president simply does not have the financial resources to continue and the financial resources we need to continue. I'm not a billionaire. I can't fund my own campaign. And as the campaign has gone on, it has become harder and harder to raise the money we need to compete. Is America ready for a woman and a woman of color to be president of the United States?
America was ready for a black man to be president of the United States.
And this conversation happened for him. I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people. This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
To folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
And we must have the courage to object when they use that term, radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror. And we must also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien.
President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People are going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
So now, when it comes down to picking a president, you got to look at this as if you were a board member at some company, some corporation. You will want somebody who can get it done, who have a wonderful portfolio of accomplishments. And she was given one job as the VP, and that was over the border. And this is the results. And the media tried to clean it up. And even with all of that scrubbing, we still know that it's dirty. So if you want more of that, then you might want to vote for her. Now, these next clips are very important because, see, perception is reality. And when you think about the safety of America, you want other world leaders to look at us as strong, as competent, and things like that. That's why Joe Biden wasn't a good president, because everybody looked at him as weak. I know I would if I was an enemy of the United States. I'll say that guy's weak. Yeah, and that's why you get chaos all around the world. Look outside of just America and ask yourself, how would a world leader who doesn't like us would perceive Kamala Harris? Would she be a strong, competent, intelligent woman, or would she be looked at as an airhead?
Remember Venn diagrams, those three circles? Right. And then let's just see where they overlap. You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those three circles, how they overlap? I love Venn diagrams. So I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, you know, the three circles. The television coverage of just yesterday, that's on top of everything else that we know and don't know yet. based on what we've just been able to see. And because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened. But just limit it to what we have seen.
I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of the most pressing issues of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past but the future.
Space, it affects us all, and it connects us all.
I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out or discovered yet. To think about so much that's out there that we still have to learn. Like, I love that. I love that. You guys are going to see. You're going to literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes.
Oh my goodness.
With your own eyes, I'm telling you.
Because when we think about the strength of our democracy, you know, I think that there's a duality to the nature of democracy. When it's intact, oh, it's so strong in terms of what it does to uphold and protect individual rights and freedoms. So strong in its nature. And it's very fragile. It will only be as strong as our willingness to fight.
You just fell out of a coconut tree?
You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community.
We got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
I went home one day and I said, well, why are conservatives bad, Mommy? Because I thought we were supposed to conserve things.
Bob and Doug returned to the Kennedy Space Center. They suited up. They waved to their families. And they rode an elevator up nearly 20 stories. They strapped in to their seats and waited as the tanks beneath them filled with tens of thousands of gallons of fuel. And then they launched. Yeah, they did.
And talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
Now, that's pretty airheadish. I'm just saying, that's pretty airheadish. All of those clips right there, if I'm Kim Jong-un, if I am Putin, if I am Xi, if I'm any world leader, even if I was an ally of the United States, I would be looking at her and going, wow, this is the best they got? This is who they're put up. They're putting up her after Creepy Sleepy was horrible. They put another horrible person up there. We will be taken advantage of for years to come. We might as well move on to how she's dealt with foreign relations when she's been given an opportunity. Let's see how she fares and see if this is somebody you want representing the country.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea.
and it is an alliance that is strong and enduring. I often note and have talked with many of you about our shared belief that our world is increasingly more interconnected and interdependent. That is especially true when it comes to the climate crisis, which is why we will work together and continue to work together to address these issues, to tackle these challenges, and to work together as we continue to work operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that we will convene to work together on to galvanize global action. We also recognize, just as it has been in the United States for Jamaica, one of the issues that has been presented as an issue that is economic in the way of its impact has been the pandemic. So to that end, we are announcing today also that we will assist Jamaica in COVID recovery by assisting in terms of the recovery efforts in Jamaica that have been essential to, I believe, what is necessary to strengthen not only the issue of public health, but also the economy.
And for President Duda, I wanted to know if you think, and if you asked the United States to specifically accept more refugees.
Okay. A friend in need is a friend indeed. I am here, standing here on the northern flank, on the eastern flank, talking about what we have in terms of the eastern flank and our NATO allies, and what is at stake at this very moment. What is at stake this very moment are some of the guiding principles around the NATO alliance. This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy.
Now, recently, Donald Trump has come out and made some controversial comments about whether Kamala Harris is black or she's Indian. Now, normally this wouldn't matter. However, this is very important for the Democrats because they are advertising her as, you know, she's the first black woman. It's them. They're the ones that brought this up as an issue. So Trump addressed it. And we need to get to the bottom of it, especially if they're going to be using this as a campaign strategy. If it comes to fruition that she is playing people by saying she's this when she needs to be this versus something else when it's not convenient, then you have to ask, what's up with your character? Why aren't you the same person all the time? Every time Trump speaks to a crowd, speaks to them the same exact way. I know what I'm getting when it comes down to Trump. But with Kamala, she appears to be somewhat of a chameleon.
I want to ask you about the former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policies. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she wanted to defund the police just 3 years ago.
Harris sending this out on X. If you're able to chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota.
Thanks to Harris's promotion, the group reportedly raised $35 million in just a few weeks.
Darnica Floyd, charged with second-degree murder for stabbing a friend to death. She got out of jail, too. A twice-convicted rapist, currently charged with kidnapping and sexual assault, and he walks out, too.
The Freedom Fund raked in donations when it was promoted by many, including now Vice President Kamala Harris.
Sean Michael Tillman shot and killed a passenger on a train platform after reportedly being released from jail 3 weeks prior. All thanks to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
Donovan Boone was charged with breaking into the home of an ex-girlfriend and choking her. Freedom Fund bailed him out for $3,000 cash, and he hasn't shown up for court since.
I often don't even look at a charge specifics when I bail someone out.
The Hennepin County attorney called out the Minnesota Freedom Fund for bailing Mosley out of jail twice previously, even though he was arrested for having a gun in the courthouse.
The Minnesota Freedom Fund, which pays cash bail for low-income criminals, paid Tims's entire $10,000 bail in cash.
11 days later, police found a man bleeding from the head and ears in this alley. Police were able
to arrest Timms in connection to this violent assault.
Howard was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The Minnesota Freedom Fund acknowledged supporting Howard's bail.
It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. I'm black.
Because you are Indian. Yes.
And I'm proud of being black.
Very similar to Harris's Indian identity, which she wears on her sleeve.
And I was born black, I will die black. And I'm proud of being black.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
And I'm not going to make any excuses for anybody because they don't understand.
I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know, Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president. Yeah. So we're both Indian, but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people we're related already, so this is perfect. It's basically true.
Wakanda forever.
You ain't black.
Well, there you have it. And then there is the cackle. You know that she knows the cackle is a negative feature when it comes down to her because she's tried to suppress that recently. But there's just some things she can't suppress. She's left so many clips on the internet for, one, our laughter, but two, as evidence when it comes down to making a good decision between her and Trump, even though the media has tried to scrub a lot of this stuff. And that's why I'm here. So let's check out how Kamala Harris is original, sincere, and she's not one to just come up with little cliches that she repeats over and over again to try to woo the voters, okay? She's very diverse and fluid when it comes down to, you know, things that she say to inspire the public.
Let's speak some truths. Let's speak more truths. Let's talk truth. Speaking truth. Speaking truth. We have to speak truth about this. Truth. 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 The truth. Truths. Truths. We have to speak truth. We have to speak truth. The truth. There's so many truths. We have to speak truth that automation is real. Can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been. What 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 can be unburdened by what has been. Who we can be unburdened by who we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been and unburdened by where we are right now. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been. What can be unburdened by what has 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 been. Unburdened by what has been, believing in what can be. What can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What could be unburdened by what had been. What can be unburdened by what has 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 been. What can be, what should be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? See what can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? Unburdened by what has been and knowing what can be. Have a sense of vision about what can be unburdened by what has been. To see what can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been. What was possible unburdened by what has been. What can be 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 unburdened by what has been. That can be unburdened by what has been. There are those who are unable to see what can be, but there are many more who are able to see what can be unburdened by what has been.
Well, that wasn't very inspiring at all. It seemed like she just kept repeating the same thing and hoping that we would find different meanings in it every single time she repeated it. Well, you know what? No, I ain't gonna worry about that too much.
Hi, everyone. It's Kamala Harris. Each day, we are seeing our rights and freedoms under attack, including the right of everyone to be who they are, love who they love, openly and with pride. So as we fight back against these attacks, let's all remember, no one is alone. We are all in this together, and your vote is your power.
Hi. Can we talk? Come on in. You know it.
Indeed, I do. Jump it up. There must be outrage that prompts action. So let us rededicate ourselves to build a future where women and girls and all people can live free from violence, abuse, and fear.
But those are just words, because the truth is, if the DEI agenda conflicts with the safety and privacy of girls and women, then the DEI agenda always wins, always. Enter the trans lobby. Supported and encouraged by Kamala Harris even before she became VP, in California she was instrumental in getting taxpayer-funded sex change surgery covered for prison inmates.
When I was Attorney General, I learned that the California Department of Corrections, which was a client of mine, that they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need.
So men and women's prisons, that's safe. This is insanity. But these are the logical results of the DEI crusade. It's the inclusion part of DEI. And it played out at the Olympics in Paris yesterday when Imani Khelif of Algeria was allowed to compete against a female Italian boxer, Angela Carini. She said, "I'm heartbroken," telling reporters afterward, I went to the ring to honor my father. I was told a lot of times that I was a warrior, but I preferred to stop for my health. I have never felt a punch like this." Whatever the biological truth is here, this is the world that Kamala Harris wants our girls to have to compete in, where women and girls who train for their entire lives for a chance for victory are never sure if the playing field, or in this case, the ring, is biologically even. And ironically, today is the day the new Biden-Harris Title IX rule goes into effect, and that allows biological males into girls' bathrooms. This is how Kamala Harris will fight for girls if she's elected president, by forcing boys and men into girls' and women's spaces. So what could possibly go wrong here? These people are demonic. She's just an extremist, which is why her instinct will always be to kowtow to the DEI LGBTQI+ lobby. In June, we learned that the ultimate Biden-Harris DEI hire, Dr. Rachel Levine, would lobby an international body of physicians to remove age minimums for surgery for children. This Biden-Harris worldview is even more progressive than several countries in Europe. You got to understand this. Sweden and Britain have recently banned gender transition intervention for anyone younger than the age of 18. That's just common sense. Now, but this isn't just Rachel Levine's twisted worldview. This is Kamala Harris's twisted worldview. Because for them, girl power includes the sick celebration of confused girls lopping off their breasts in record numbers, destroying their ability to have children before they even mature sexually. And then on the flip side, young, disillusioned, desperate young men, unable to find success, meaning in their own lives, declare themselves transgender and are celebrated when they beat women or girls in sports.
Yeah, that's a problem for me. That's a big problem for me. That means she's very extreme, and that means also that she is not who she says she is. She's pretending to look out for women's rights, but then her and her administration, they don't really support women. I mean, if you're okay with this type of stuff, then vote for her. But you can't say I didn't warn you. You can't say I didn't show you. You vote for her based on them trying to manipulate people on racism, and you need to vote for the first woman of color, then you get what you deserve.
What is it that you believe? I mean, what week of pregnancy should abortion access be cut off?
We need to restore the protections of Roe versus Wade.
Which
We're
was-
not trying to do something new.
Well, that was nebulous because it was about viability, which could be anywhere between 20 to 24 weeks. And
so no. Let me be very clear.
The Women's Health Protection Act that the White House also endorsed.
Let me be very clear. From day one, the president has been clear. I have been clear. We need to put back the protections that are in Roe v. Wade into law. Since the Supreme Court took it, Congress has the power and ability to pass legislation to put those protections back in law, and Joe Biden will sign that bill. So that is what we want.
But does it need to be specific in terms of defining and where that guarantee goes up to and where it does not? At which week of pregnancy?
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe versus Wade.
You know why I'm asking you this question, though, because
we're not trying to do anything that did not exist before June of last year. We are saying
it wasn't crafted into law. And that's why I'm asking you for the specifics there, because Republicans say the lack of a precise date in cutting it off. You know this. They say that allows Democrats to perform abortions up until, birth.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is statistically not accurate.
And it's ridiculous, and it's a mischaracterization of the point. No, the point is...
But do you need to be more precise?
I am being precise. We need to put into law the protections of Roe versus Wade. And that is about going back to where we were before the Dobbs decision.
And look at that. Couldn't even answer the question. Avoided it. You know why? Because she doesn't want to answer that because it would make her look like she's extreme. Yeah, she wants to avoid that because if people really knew that the Democrat Party is okay with abortion 9 months and beyond, they would be turned off. Most people might be okay with, 3 or 4 months, but 9 months? That's extreme. So she did what chameleons do. She changed colors, she avoided, she pivoted, and she didn't give an honest answer. And this is pretty much her whole MO. She is not who people think she is. She's a chameleon. She adapts, she adjusts, and becomes whatever she needs to be to advance her career. But now you can't sit back and say, well, I had no idea. It's kind of like, Joe Biden. People were like, I didn't know he was off. He was that bad off. I didn't know. Well, you don't want to be the person that finds out during the debate or something like that you've been tricked by the media and so on and so forth. That's why I'm here now, to show you what you're getting into. And if you willfully go in and vote for her, you get what you deserve. Now, share this video. Follow me on all the other social media platforms. If you want to support my channel, you can. The link is below this video. And also check out Kevin's Corner store. Other than that, subscribe to my channel. Make sure your notifications are turned on, and we'll see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. God bless.